has taken over. Let's go. It's Ferrall. Coast to coast. Steaks, chicks, stacks. You and I are going to make a lot of money. It's Ferrall, coast to coast. It's Ferrall on the bench, coast to coast, in the biggest way possible. Hanging out a bad seed, a broken eight, a bad apple with a bad attitude. We are live in New York City, the Big Apple. Ooh, people dressed in plastic bags, directing traffic, some kind of fashion shade up Shadoobie, along with spitting speeds this afternoon. Dane Martinez, you got to be kidding me. Stop the press. I think it's just fantastic. In for Carver High, who's at the Cape Cod Irish Open, golfing for the chalice and the green jacket and drinking heavily. It is a thirsty Thursday. The rundown today on C2C. We'll talk to our boy Steve Jones, the voice of the Penn State Nittany Lions, and their undefeated start of their season and their high ranking, and get into their next big test this Saturday. Plus, Scott Miller from the New York Times, our baseball contributor, getting ready for Game 1 of the World Series on Friday in Lipstick City at Chavez Ravine. And in the final hour, a double shot with Adam Kaplan, our NFL insider, including bust a cap in yo ass. Well, I'll tell you what, Spittin', it's always great to see you. And the thing that caught my eye last night more than anything else was LaMelo Ball. Oh, my God. The game that this guy had in Houston at the Toyota Center with a team that many believe is one of the young upstart risers, playoff potential team, dangerously loaded with talent. They just gave Sengun all that money. And, you know, Green, what he does, this is a great young team. And they got their ass beat. They only lost by 5. But I'm talking about when one guy goes off for 34 points, 8 rebounds, 11 dimes, 10 of 20 from the floor, 4 threes, 10 of 10 from the line, a block shot, and only 2 turnovers. And some of the dimes that he dropped, lob dunks, and just no-look passes that were so brilliant. He was the performer of the night in the NBA, bar none.
All right, well, listen, Scotty, you know I love you, and 34, 11, and 8 is certainly nothing to be scoffed at for LaMelo. Lonzo Ball even got a couple of minutes back for the first time in a couple of years. But I got to tell you something. I like what LaMelo's doing. I like Charlotte, but I don't think they have what it takes to truly be a contender in the Eastern Conference. For me, the performance of the night on a team that may be enough to be in, say, the top upper echelons in the Eastern Conference for me was Paolo Banchero. This dude also went for 30 and 10 plus, and Orlando was what, a 4-5 seed last year? And I wonder if they can take another step forward. If Banchero is like actually in the top tier of being elite, I think Orlando has a more interesting ceiling than Charlotte. So for me, what I stood up and took notice of was what I saw out of Paolo, if you want to know the truth.
Well, listen, I'm not going to argue with that. This isn't about like Charlotte's good. I just couldn't believe the highlights and the game performance of watching this guy go off. Now, here's the thing about Paolo. He is the most underserved, underjuiced player in the league.
Word.
Have you ever seen a number one get ignored like this cat? You can't even explain it because he does this all the time. And they are a good young team. I don't think Charlotte's good at all. What surprised me was that crappy team beat a good team in Houston that's supposed to be all of this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, that makes sense. In the association, to me, also, Milwaukee absolutely dominates the Philadelphia 76ers, but there's no Joel Embiid. There's no PG-13.
Right.
We're going to talk about this. And also, like, the NBA is going to investigate this idea of Embiid's availability. Forget being, eligible for MVP awards. They're going to rest Embiid all the time. I think that's something that actually deserves watching in the association, the way they manage Embiid in Philly, man.
So yesterday on the show, I said that I have my druthers on whether or not he's going to last in the NBA.
Right.
based on his knees. He's wearing a brace the size of Texas on his knee. He's had it cleaned. He's had it scoped. He's had it worked on. He doesn't run to begin with. Now, I don't deny his game. I don't deny what he's capable of. I don't deny his outside shot, his free throws. It's unbelievable watching this big guy knock down threes and hit free throws. He gets to the line more than anybody in the NBA. Every time he touches the ball, he gets fouled, and they call all of them. The thing is, I notice about his game that I don't know about others. He's a walker. He walks up the floor. I mean, it's like he's playing at his own pace. He doesn't hustle ever. He just gets down there. He's either at the top of the key waiting for the ball, or he's down in the block getting fouled. Either or. He gets his. I won't deny it. But he's 300 plus pounds. He's enormous, and he's got bad knees. You could say bad knee, bad knees, whichever. Pick your poison. Bottom line is they gave him an extension of almost $200 million, right? Do you think he'll live up to it? Like, do you think he's going to last in the NBA with the structure of his body and the fact that he's already breaking down?
No, I think you're right there, Scotty. It's going to be really tough. But remember, all it takes is 1 month of May and June where he actually is available and he actually is his dominant self for about a 4-week stretch. If they ever hang a banner in Philly during Embiid's career, then yes, it would be worth it. I don't think they worry about the regular season. They just need to have him, PG, and Maxey, who, if you want to know the truth, is probably the real best player on that team. If they're all available and they make one deep run to the finals, then you got to think the fans in the city of brotherly love will all of a sudden love Embiid forever and ever and ever. But here's another big time kind of remember me game last night. Ja Morant, the Memphis Grizzlies take care of Utah. Ja goes for 27 and 10. And I kind of think, Scotty, like I said, remember me? I think Ja and Memphis is going to be heard from this year.
Listen, I play in Jaws. I have a pair of his, they're lavender looking, like purple, and they're badass. So I'm in a game Monday night, and I know the ref, and he said to me when I was running up the court, and I was 4 for 4 from the floor, and he said to me, running behind me, he goes, "You got to get high tops, man. You're going to hurt yourself in those things." I said, "You don't like my Jaws?" I said, honestly, I go, timeout. I go, timeout. I called a timeout, and I stopped the whole game, and I asked everyone, even people I didn't know, You don't like these shoes? Are you kidding me? These Jaws? You don't like these Jaws? You think I'm going to get hurt because I'm wearing Jaws? And he goes, "You called a timeout for that?" I go, "I'm thinking about calling another timeout right now. I got 6 of them. As you know, on Coast to Coast, we do burn timeouts. We have not burned one yet today. This is just a story from Monday night when I used a timeout. But anyway, I wear the Jaws. I love him. He's a badass player, no doubt about it. The one thing I'm worried about, though, is this guy Ballmer. Now, no doubt he's rich. No doubt he's got all the money. No doubt he built the best arena in the NBA. The Intuit Dome is crazy. Yeah. I love that wall, those fans.
Yeah, man.
That's crazy. But there's something wrong with that dude. Have you ever seen anyone go that Calypso Bay watching any sporting event, like just losing his mind?
But when you're rich, it's not called crazy. It's called eccentric, my friend. You know this as good as anybody else. That wall is going to be interesting, right? No road fans allowed with that wall. $2 billion. The Intuit Dome better be something nice.
How do they keep fans out? Like, that's going to become something, like a challenge. No outsider fans allowed in the section. Prove it. Like, how do you know I'm not an outsider? Some way they're going to get in there and cause a scene like they do everywhere else in sports. We got it all going today with Spit and Speed on C2C.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. I am ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long, people. What in the world is going on in Miami, Dom?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take, hot take.
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
We're going to talk about all these games in the NBA last night, Spittin', and we'll start with that Indy game. They got it done, and they covered in Detroit.
They did. Pacers outlast the Pistons 115-109 in Detroit. I mean, Halliburton went 1 of 9 from beyond the arc, but he did make his only three-pointer of the night. When it counted, it stretched the lead late for the Pacers. Check it out here on the FanDuel Sports Network.
Halliburton has yet to hit a shot. He does! Tyrese Halliburton had missed his first 8 from three-point range and hits the big one in Detroit.
All of their bigs got it done. Turner, Siakam, and then Mathurin. They all ended up having big games. Turner, 20, 9 boards, 4 dimes, 4 block shots. He's a badass and a lifer in Indy. Siakam likes it there, 19, 9, and 8. And Mathurin had 19 off of the bench, getting the burn and getting involved. I remind people all the time, Dane, that I was talking to somebody the other day, this morning, and he goes, "Oh, the Knicks, man, the Knicks." And I love the Knicks, right? I'm a big Knicks fan. I said, listen, you need to calm down. They're not better than the Celtics. They're not even close to the Celtics. And let me tell you something else. They couldn't even beat the Pacers. And then his answer to me was injuries. I said, listen, Everybody's got injuries. Everybody. At that late, they've been playing for 8 months. I don't want to hear it. They did not beat the Pacers, and they could not beat the Celtics. Now they went out and got Cat, and they're supposed to beat the Celtics. They got their ass beat by the Celtics. But listen, this Pacer team, they mean business.
Yeah, I think they mean business. The problem is, for me, will they be able to play defense, right? They're going to win a lot of games like 135-131. And I'm with you. Boston is clearly the class of the Eastern Conference. Then I think there's a second tier, right? I think Milwaukee, Philly, the Knicks do belong in there, in my opinion, because it's not only getting Cat, Scotty, it's getting Bridges as well. And I think Bridges and OG on the wings
What's wrong with him?
defensively. I think defensively is where it's going to matter, okay? And I think that those guys, along with Josh Hart, are going to be able to play really good wing defense. And I'll give you that Indiana belongs in that class as well. But you're absolutely right. Boston curb stomped them in the season opener. I think it was 29 threes. And if they're going to do that, then there's, then we're all playing for second place. Speaking of two teams that may be playing for second place in the East, Scotty, the Bucks cruise past Philadelphia 124-109. Damian Lillard gets 30 points, 9 boards, and 6 assists. Giannis chips in as well. All 5 starters from Milwaukee were in double figures, but we talked about it before. The NBA is going to investigate Joel Embiid and his kind of pattern of playing, not playing. Is he resting? Do they care? What do you think about this? Milwaukee, Philly, and specifically Embiid.
I just think it's a little bit ridiculous if you ask me. What are you going to, tell him he doesn't have a knee injury? They know he has a knee problem. They know he had his knee clean. They know he had it scoped. They know he had damage to the knee last year. That cost him their season. And then what? They didn't like the pace of the, rehab or where he's at in his rehab. It's funny to me. You're going to investigate Embiid and the Sixers. Are you going to investigate the Clippers when Kawhi Leonard signs a fat extension and he never plays? Ever?
Right.
He never, ever plays. But last year, he played 60-some games, 68 games. Now he doesn't play. He's got, some tendonitis in his knee or whatever. And are they investigating him sitting in street clothes? The NBA, who are they kidding? Let me tell you something about the NBA. All they do is give tons of players that don't deserve it too much money. There are so many guys getting this Nispert deal for he got $54 million. I was like, who?
Right.
Who?
To score 14 a game. Right. Absolutely. But listen, Scotty, don't hate the player, hate the game.
Suggs, $150 million. Come on. I don't care how much defense he plays. He's not worth $150 million. Every guy gets $190 million, $200 million, $300 million. That's the NBA's problem. Is the money going to these players is insane. And now all of a sudden you're worried about him not playing? Give me a break.
Absolutely. Listen, the same thing as with Zion in New Orleans would be another one of those, right? But speaking of Zion, his boy, Ja Morant, is back. We talked about it at the top of the show. The Grizzlies hold on to beat Utah 126-124. Ja has a good game. Zach Edey fouls out after 15 minutes in his debut. He is my pick for Rookie of the Year, if you want to know the truth. And we have Ja Morant hanging in the air for a finish during clutch time. Check it out here on the FanDuel Sports Network Southeast.
Morant would tend to shoot. Two-man game with Bane.
Oh, wow.
Going behind the back, attacking, hanging, and hitting.
Oh, watch this move. Watch the behind the back. The behind the back happens as the defender's there, but he's still going forward. Look at this, forward. And I said it years ago. The thing about Ja Morant that is mesmerizing is that he changes direction, but he doesn't go side to side.
He's a great player, and his hang time is Sid Vicious. The thing that worried me was Edey, that he fouled out that quickly and had such a miserable night, 5 and 5. Because I believe in Edey. I do believe in him. I think he will be a NBA player. I do not believe that he's a bum. I think he is one of the best seal-off bigs at 300 pounds I've ever seen. Anyone that can do what he did at the highest level at Purdue in the Big Ten and in the NCAA tournaments over the years, I don't care if Purdue lost in tournaments previously to making the championship last year. He was always brutally difficult to stop. I don't care where you're playing ball. When you're 7 foot plus and 300 pounds, you're a problem.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think he's a good fit for that team, to be sure. You talked about it before. LaMelo Ball with a big night as well. Charlotte comes back from 18 down to beat the Rockets in Houston 110-105. You were talking about this before. They're not good, but LaMelo Ball is straight amazing. Right, Scotty?
Oh, my God, dude. And listen, I saw him afterwards dropping F-bombs in interviews. He was also doing an interview that was really funny, that it was his dad's birthday. And he said, I had that big game for you, Pops, and all this other stuff. And then he,
Are they still selling the sneakers? Are they still selling the Triple B sneakers? No. That's over and done with for like $600 a pop.
Those shoes were the worst things that ever happened to America. They really were. They were no Starburys.
There you go. They're not Jaws. You're not rocking them in the rec league, Scotty?
Listen, I'm rocking the Jaws. I played in them last night. I look good, son. And they are great shoes. And they're worth $200 clean, son.
right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. Brady, I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long, people. What in the world is going on in Miami, Dom?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take, hot take.
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
27.5, and it's even money for them to go over. Double down on it. Chicago under 27.5 wins. I know we did the preview. If I'm right, Matt, I think if we go back and people look at the tape, I think we went under 28.5 when it happened, and I'm doubling down with 27.5. They don't get there.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Well, Spittin', I think that the Suns, they needed that last night because I thought last year was a disaster. And, I mean, they have talent. And to see them all out there playing and healthy and, you know, they were down late. And then Durant took it and said, give me the rock. Let's finish this. And he tied it up and sent it to overtime. I thought Harden had a chance late. But that's a big start for Budenholzer and the Suns.
Yeah, I agree, Scotty. I mean, they get by the Clippers 116-113. And to your point, the fact that Bradley Beal was so involved, I think was really important. Bradley Beal went 8 for 12. Booker only goes 5 of 9, right? So the fact that Beal is so involved, we didn't really see what that quote-unquote big three looked like. So don't forget about them. But then we got to talk about the Intuit Dome, right? We got to talk about that $2 billion stadium. A lot of talk about that, you know, fan wall. I think to answer your question from earlier, what they do is, because, you know, buying tickets these days, it's all in the secondary market, right? I think they check your zip code when you are buying the tickets, when you send in your credit card or whatever. And I think they're going to deny zip codes that are not from the LA area. I think that's how they try, at least, to prevent road fans from being in that wall.
Wow, that's crazy. It's a great arena. It's good for business. It's good for I think the league. It's good for LA. I think it's good for Inglewood. I think it's good for the Clippers. It's magnificent. It is what it is. I think, look, I mean, that's what happens when you build $2 billion brand new stadiums in any sport. They're going to build one in Vegas for the baseball team. They're building one in Buffalo for the Bills. Wherever they're building brand new, billion-dollar stadiums, you should expect them to start coming out looking like this. This is the way. Like, look at SoFi. It's just so fantastic, that stadium, that when we were there for the Super Bowl, I was like, they should have this thing here every 5 years. Shouldn't even be a question. Like, they still do it in the Benz in Atlanta. They keep giving them Super Bowls. So I think these things just keep getting better and better. That is a magnificent building and property. The guy has really done a great job. He's whacked. There's something weird about him. I don't know. When I watch him, I'm like, man, is this dude strange? But then again, the NBA's had a lot of guys like him. I think Cuban's a wacko too.
Right. But like I said, when you're at that level, it's just eccentric and you kind of have that weird complex. Like, these guys were probably, not well liked in middle school. And so now they just want to be down. I think that's what it comes down to, right, Scotty? They just want to be down with the crowd. They want to look like they are popular. But I digress. Elsewhere in the association last night, Scotty, the Hawks take out the Nets 120-116. in Atlanta. Trae Young, another guy who, we got to remember, this is a dude that was the best player on a team that got to the conference finals. He goes 30-12. He's my bet to lead the league in assists per game this year, and they get a win to start their season as well.
Yeah, the thing that stood out to me in that game was the fight that broke out. That was violent. That was a real dangerous foul. That was with intent to injure. I thought it was like a haymaker to the dude's head, and then it all broke out after that. I thought the game got out of hand. Ejections, the whole deal.
Yeah, absolutely. Elsewhere in the association, Scotty, the Warriors take out the Portland Trailblazers big time, 139-104 in Portland. I got to tell you, for me, in this one, Buddy Hield was really interesting. He scores 22. We all know he's a great shooter. If he can kind of reasonably approximate what Klay Thompson was doing, Kuminga maybe takes a step forward. The kid, I can't pronounce his name, takes a step forward. Golden State could be there, and they're using everybody, literally everybody. Check out Steve Kerr talking about using all 12 guys during the game.
I didn't, 2 days ago I was thinking, well, maybe I'll just play 10 and I'll just have to tell two of these guys that they're going to sit, and I couldn't justify that because they've all played really well in camp, and I even felt bad sitting Lindy. Lindy's had a great camp. He's one of our highest plus minus guys in camp for all the preseason games. So this is as deep a team as I've ever coached, and we've got to lean into that. And we're going to play a lot of people.
Yeah, you were talking about Podziemski. They like him. They wouldn't trade him last year. There's interest in that guy's game, but they got a lot of guys. Peyton put in 8. Waters put in 8. Melton put in 10. You talk about Hield 22, 5-1. Moody had 15. The bench outplayed the starters. Then again, I think the Blazers stink, and I didn't think it was a hard night for the Dubs. Curry did his thing, too.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. Brady, I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long, people. What in the world is going on in Miami, Dom?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take.
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
27.5, and it's even money for them to go over. Double down on it. Chicago under 27.5 wins. I know we did the preview. If I'm right, Matt, I think if we go back and people look at the tape, I think we went under 28.5 when it happened, and I'm doubling down with 27.5. They don't get there.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
legendary voice of the Penn State Nittany Lions, Steve Jones, is with us from lovely University Park. Of course, Happy Valley. Grew up a Penn State fan watching this rivalry. I got to tell you, Jonesy, I don't know if the last time I talked to you, I mentioned that it burns me up that they don't play it. It really bothers me. I think it's the worst thing that could happen to college football is when you take rivalries away from fans. Like that was, at least they didn't screw up the backyard brawl, which is always an incredible game, including this year. I was in Vegas when they played that game, West Virginia and Pitt. And I remember growing up going to University Park to Beaver Stadium to see Pitt play Penn State. And that's what life was all about as a kid growing up in Pittsburgh. And I think they screwed that up nice and juicy.
Yeah, and that's how and you're seeing in college sports for a long time, Missouri and Kansas weren't playing basketball against each other. That felt wrong.
Right.
For a long time, Texas A&M and Texas weren't playing. Now they're both in the SEC, so they can. So that for a long time didn't happen. And rivalries are what make the sport special. There are a lot of elements that make the sport special. That's one of them.
What was it like going to the Coliseum in Lipstick City to play USC, for the first time in this new world of the Big Ten, where you're, traveling west? And in essence, how crazy was that football game that really a lot of people believe Penn State had no business winning that game, that USC, butchered it. And really, Jonesy, they've never recovered since the Penn State game. Their season's gone down the toilet.
Yeah, Scotty, they go up in the game 17-3. So they've got everything going their way. Penn State led 3-0. They had a touchdown called off the board. And then they ran one play, got 75 yards on a touchdown. So USC's controlling it. After they were up 17-3, I don't think a lot of people realize Penn State outscored them 30-13 the rest of the game. So once Penn State started to get some control of the game, especially in the third quarter, they really did control it. And then when they needed to drive at the end, and you always want to know, what can you do in the clutch? You and I have talked about this 1,000 times. You get sports. In the clutch, what can you do? There's 5 minutes to go, and they drove it. Hit 2 fourth-down plays where Aller made a couple of nice throws to Fleming. Then he hit Singleton for the touchdown to force overtime. And in overtime, what's the one thing you want to do in overtime when you're on defense? You want to go out and get a negative play right away, and they did it on the first play. And that set USC back. They missed the field goal. Penn State then centered the ball for their field goal as opposed to being on the hash mark, and they won it. And it just did them a world of good because they found out that when they needed to make plays, they could.
Yeah, that was huge. And, now they're at number 3 in the country, and their confidence has to be sky high that they pulled that off. What were they like after the game in the room and on the flight back to Pennsylvania? Because, they had already beaten UCLA at Beaver Stadium, and then they go out there and win that game. And now they have this brutal game in Camp Randall when Fickles actually got the Badgers kind of turned around and playing real football all of a sudden. What was their mood like, and what are they thinking in the Nittany Lions room and moving forward here?
Ecstatic in the room because everything had just happened and just the feeling of a great accomplishment. Once they got on the plane, you and I both know, Scotty, you've been there. They're tired. It's a long flight back. Got back about 3 a.m. So a lot of people were sleeping, especially in the second half of the flight, although they could watch the Ohio State-Oregon game, which many people did because they had TVs in there. They could watch it. I think it was great they had a bye week. Having a bye week allowed them to settle down because it goes right to the point that you were talking about. And now you're right. They take on a Wisconsin team that's won 3 in a row, 3 games that you expect them to win, but the way they won it was impressive.
Right.
So they're feeling great about themselves, especially now that their backup quarterback, Braden Locke, has settled in because Van Dyke got hurt against Alabama.
Yeah, Van Dyke, the ACL tear, done. Yeah. Couldn't believe it. Yeah. It happens. I think that happened to Mertz down in Florida, too. Same thing. It did. Yeah. So you have this game in Madtown, which is, it's no different than University Park. That's a tough place to play, a tough atmosphere, a rowdy house. And then, and I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but I'm going to do it anyway. Then you have the Buckeyes in Happy Valley. And, I mean, does Franklin have them licking their chops at these types of games back-to-back like that? Like, we got Wisconsin on the road and Ohio State at home, and that's why we came to Penn State.
If you want to be any good, you have to feel that way. I mean, so you go out and you attack this week and you take care of this week, and then you worry about next week. So they're going to go out there and they've got this game with Wisconsin coming up. It's going to be, as you said, Madtown at night. But what makes Madtown really tough at night is that Wisconsin's good. That's what makes it tough. Wisconsin in this 3-game winning streak, Scotty, they haven't been behind a single second. They've been playing from in front the entire time. So Penn State just had a come-from-behind win. Wisconsin hasn't been behind since they were in the Coliseum when they played USC. So let's see if Penn State can get up on them and then how Wisconsin reacts, because they haven't ever had to react like that for a month.
You know, they literally have been destroying everyone they've been playing. They destroyed Purdue. They destroyed Rutgers in Piscataway. I remember I was here in town that weekend, and I was like watching that game, and I'm like, oh, my God, what they're doing to Schiano's team is unbelievable. I said, I think Fickle's turned them around. Sure enough, they go to Chicago, destroy Northwestern, and now they're staring down the barrel of Franklin's Nittany Lions. Has the coach ever had a better Penn State team than this one?
To this point, no. And, he's had some pretty good ones. 16 was really good that won the Big Ten title. 17, I thought, was excellent. But this one's really well balanced. And it's well balanced and innovative because of how they're able to utilize the tight end Tyler Warren. Warren, can throw the ball. The Warren can run with the football. Obviously, Warren can catch the ball. And as you saw against USC, he can snap it as well. So because of his versatility, Scotty, he can do everything. And that's what's so great about having a piece like that goes with other parts that are standard parts. And then you have a guy like this who can change the dynamics.
So Aller, when he was a kid, in high school, I thought he was the best high school quarterback in the country. And then when he went to Penn State, I don't know. That's not the kid that I watched play high school football. I didn't think he was that good at Penn State. How much better has he gotten from the point when he came there and he struggled, obviously, to where he is today?
Well, think about our respective professions. Like, where are you and I now compared to where we were when we began?
Jonesy, we were both great from the beginning, you and I.
You know what? That's a really good point. So let's use some other examples out there besides the two of us, and say somebody else in the profession that maybe early on was trying to find themselves, and then when they got to the second year, suddenly they became really good. Now, out of the gate, you and I were secretariat. I got it. But that's where he is. He's a second-year starter now. So everything that was new to him last year, the paces of defenses, how they played, he now is playing at a slower pace now mentally because he saw it all last year. And I think that makes a big difference for him. But you are right. You and I did get out of the gate fast.
We really did. We were top shelf status from the jump. This is what I got to say to you. Here's my plan for the Ohio State game at Happy Valley. So after the game in Madtown, when they come home, I recommend that no food should be given to the team all week. They should feed them coal and just, give them coal for dinner. And then by Saturday, they'll be so hungry, they'll take the Ohio State Buckeyes and wring them out. Jonesy, always good to see you. Good luck against the Badgers.
I'll pass it along, Scotty. Thanks, buddy.
My man.
right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. Brady, I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long, people. What in the world is going on in Miami, Dom?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take, hot take.
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
27.5, and it's even money for them to go over. Double down on it. Chicago under 27.5 wins. I know we did the preview. If I'm right, Matt, I think if we go back and people look at the tape, I think we went under 28.5 when it happened, and I'm doubling down with 27.5. They don't get there.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
So Carver High's at the Cape Cod Irish Open, and my sources on the golf course, I know a couple of the caddies. I've been calling him that he's been inebriated for over 4 hours.
Well, listen, Irish coffee early in the day, right before you hit the first tee box, right? And then just keep going from there. So shout out to our guy Carver High, to be sure. Hey, Scotty, let's get back to the association. I talked about it at the beginning of the show. Paolo Banchero, 33-11 as the Magic roll in South Beach, 116-97. I mean, Wagner has 23. Butler and Bam both get 12 points. I mean, they will 2 for 13 combined. I think this is about Paolo, but as a nice note, they did dedicate the court there in Miami to Pat Riley during halftime of the game.
I mean, Riles is a badass, and he's got a lot of juice in the NBA and certainly in Miami. He's still got style. I got to tell you, I've never seen Buckets or Bam look that weak in a game in Miami, to be honest with you. And they got smoked, and it's got to be an eye-opener for them. And it looks to me like Spo has a lot of work to do.
Well, let me ask you more about this, right? You talk about Butler and Bam. What about now? I haven't seen much where Hero and Rozier have been also playing with them, you know? So is this maybe what we can expect a little more of, kind of a little bit more Hero, a little bit more Rozier, and kind of an even spread, and it's not just Jimmy and just Bam, you know? Because I think Rozier went for almost 20. You know, Hero also is there. Now they kind of have 4 options there in Miami. Might it look different?
Well, look, I think that, you know, and they use Jovic as well to serve.
Yeah.
I think that, you know, the key for the Heat is injuries, because when Hero goes down and Scary Terry goes down, they're screwed. My favorite player on that team, and he put in work as usual, was Jaquez. I love the kid from UCLA. I think he's a great player. He's a stud. I think he needs more burn. And I think he needs the ball more. I think he gets it done. And I think, you know, keeping those two shooters in Hero and Scary on the floor healthy is the key to their season. There's something about Hero where I think he's got that white man's disease. Like, he breaks down in the season. It's too long. It's too physical. It's too fast. So, like, I play on an NBA court, right, in these league games, and you don't realize how big it is until you actually play on one regularly. So the games are 40 minutes, and I only play in like 5 to 7 minute stretches where I go hard for 5 to 7 minutes and then I come out because, you know, I had open heart surgery, but whatever. I could never go 40 minutes on that court. There's so much space, and it's so much wider and bigger than a normal run court where you're playing like 4-on-4 or 5-on-5 on a short court with, pickup games or rec games or whatever. If you're actually playing on an NBA court, it is exhausting. And I think at some level, the physicality, the banging, the violence, and the size of the NBA court catches up with, frankly, I hate to say it, frail white dudes. And I mean it. Like, when doesn't he break down? He's always injured.
Well, listen, let me tell you something. If you know about Tyler Hero, go on social media and check out Tyler Hero's baby mama, okay? And then you might know also why he might be understandably exhausted at times. I'll talk about that another time.
News.
Yeah, absolutely. You should check it out when you have a free moment, and maybe when you're alone, my friend, but that's a different topic for a different day. This is about Orlando. I think Orlando's ascending in the Eastern Conference, and I think Orlando is ascending over the Cleveland Cavaliers, despite the fact that they got a big win north of the border last night, 136-106 against the Raptors. They were, dominant in the second quarter, scoring 36 points. They had 64 points off the bench. Donovan Mitchell, Spider with 21 points, but it was Mobley with a big game, 25, 8, and 3 for him.
You cannot lose by 30 points on your home floor in your home opener without people saying, why did I pay for these tickets? And I have heard their GM say, hey, we're rebuilding. So when you hear that, it's all hands on deck. They got a lot of problems, and they're starting over. They are not the team when Nurse was there and when Kawhi was there. It's a long time ago, right? They look like they stink.
Yeah, I mean, they're relying on IQ for goodness sakes, right? So you got to do a little bit better than that. Last game to talk about from last night, Scotty. The Pelicans hold off the Bulls in NOLA, 123-111. B.I. had 33. McCollum chips in with 23. But the biggest story here has to be DeJounte Murray, who was having a good game, but he leaves the game with a fractured hand, and it looks like he's going to miss extended time. I mean, he was 14, 10, and 8 before he gets hurt. This is a big injury for New Orleans.
No doubt about it. And, it's weird. It never worked out in Hot Town for him, right? And he ends up in New Orleans. And, you'd think he's free of Atlanta and that mess because it never worked. And then he goes down there and he's hurt immediately, breaks his hand. Now, listen, I broke my hand in 5 places, and it's never been the same. I got the displaced pinky. I have giant scars.
Looking like Anthony Munoz.
I broke it 5 places, and it's no joke. He's going to be out a while. I remember wearing, I'm talking, it's at least, so they'll probably get him out of a cast in 6 to 8 weeks, but then it's really like stiff and weak, and it's not the same. It takes a while for your hand to get back to, kind of basketball strength. I'll never forget going through it. The best part of it was, Spittin', I wore this cast, right? I had this plastic cast. So when I played, I had to wear it because, when you have that surgery, you can't just take the cast off and then start playing basketball. You'll break it again. So I wore this plastic cast on my hand, and I was like, Marvel type stuff, like I was a screw. So I'd go up for rebounds, and I'd smack dudes in the head with it. Wow, and it's plastic.
There you go.
It hurts. So it became a weapon, and I used it to my advantage.
Absolutely, yes. And listen, you got to use whatever you can, right? I completely am in support of that. You see these guys in the NFL, when they have it like a club. They formally use it as part of their pass rushing moves, right? So you're not going to get any hate from me on that.
Stuff.
Absolutely. Absolutely. On the other side, Scotty, we'll talk about tonight's game. Sound good?
Yeah, man. We got some good ones tonight. Let's see if we can make some money on any of them.
right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. Brady, I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long, people. What in the world is going on in Miami, guys?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take, hot take.
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
27.5. And it's even money for them to go over. Double down on it. Chicago under 27.5 wins. I know we did the preview. If I'm right, Matt, I think if we go back and people look at the tape, I think we went under 28.5 when it happened. And I'm doubling down with 27.5. They don't get there.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
We were just talking about Southern California, and I actually think, Spittin', that it's been Southern California here in New York City for the last 60 days. Have you ever in your life seen 60 days of sunshine in a row in New York City and 75 to 80 degrees, 60 days in a row? Have you ever seen anything like it?
I mean, it's almost like global warming is a real thing, Scotty, but that's another topic for another day. We've got four games in the association. Let's make the people some money. Boston and Washington, first one up. You were talking about the Celtics. I'm telling you, Derek White, over 2.5 threes. He had 6 in the opener. They want him shooting more. They almost set a record on opening night from beyond the arc. They rolled tonight, don't they?
Of course they're going to roll. The Wizards can't hang with them. The Wizards can't hang with the Knicks. The Wizards can't hang with anybody for that matter. And I agree with you about White. I'd put Brown over. I'd put Tatum over. I'd put Hauser over. I bet you could get Hauser over 1.5 threes. Yep. I'd put Pritchard over 1.5 threes. I mean, they
Horford too.
Threes.
Right,
They're
absolutely.
Kick their ass.
They want to shoot more threes, so that's where I'm coming from as well. We got the Spurs and the Mavericks getting going tonight. Debut for Klay Thompson for Dallas, but I'm more interested in CP3 for San Antonio. I'm on him over 7.5 assists in this game. He's going to be setting up Victor Wembanyama left and right in this one, Scotty.
Bro, you couldn't be more right. I think he's going to drop 12 dimes. All he has to do is throw the ball up in the air,
right?
And Wembanyama is going to throw it down. Not only that, I like the Spurs and the number in this game to cover at the very least. In fact, I won't be surprised at all if they beat the Mavericks outright in Dallas. That's how dangerous I think this guy Wembanyama is. And I think you're right about Chris Paul. Chris Paul, he may be old and, long in the tooth and all the rest. I'll tell you one thing, though. He's still got handle and he knows how to pass. And he doesn't make mistakes. He doesn't turn the ball over. He control that offense. I don't want him shooting. I don't want him doing anything except giving the rock to those that know how to finish.
Yeah, absolutely. You thought it was Lob City when Chris Paul was with the Clippers? Forget about that. It's going to be now. And you also saw what the Spurs did as soon as they started an actual point guard last season. I think the arrow's pointing up for San Antonio on the whole. Another game we got going is Minnesota and Sacramento. I got to tell you the truth here, Scotty. I think DeMar DeRozan is a nice addition for the Sacramento Kings. I wouldn't be surprised if the Kings get this one at home on the money line.
Yeah, I got to tell you, I was disappointed with the T-Wolves against the Lakers. I thought they were kind of flat, but I'm not turning on them. I think they're a really good team. I actually think they turn it around tonight and win that game in Sacramento against the Kings. I can see your side working out. I can see the Kings getting it done. There's no doubt. I love Fox. I love Sabonis. It's a tough place to play, that Golden One. They got a nice home court thing going there. But I think Minnesota's flat out better than the Sacramento Kings. Let's see if they can do it. They got all the size. They got all the outside scoring. They got Ant Edwards, Nas. I mean, this is a really good team. I think the other night, it was all overwhelming. It was the LeBron and Bronny show, J.J. Redick. And the bottom line was they got worked by Anthony Davis, 36-16. You can't let a guy like that have a night like that. They're not going to lose. I think Minnesota's better than the Lakers, and they didn't have a good night. And I think they're better than Sacramento, too.
I don't know if you saw Anthony Edwards woofing at Bronny James at the game at the end, being like, you don't need to shower after this one. You're good, bro. You didn't break a sweat.
That's awesome.
It is. Last game in the association tonight, Oklahoma City and Denver. For me, I'm on the over in this game. I see it at 227 and a half. I think there will be points scored. And quite frankly, Scotty, I actually think this could be a Western Conference Finals preview.
I think you're right again about everything. I think it's high potential for that, and I think it's definitely high potential for the over tonight. This is going to be a kick-ass basketball game. I got a game tonight in Manhattan. I'm going to leave there and go home and watch this game until the cows come home, late night, East Coast. But I love Shai Gilgeous. I think he's the MVP for me this year.
Sir.
I think he's the most exciting players to watch. I love that young team. And my son's a huge Thunder fan. That's his favorite team. I'm a Knick guy, but he's a Thunder guy. I actually hope the Thunder make it to the NBA Finals.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm on SGA there, too. And imagine if Chet takes a step forward. Imagine if Williams takes a step forward, right? Isaiah Hartenstein, Caruso, perfect additions for OKC.
I like them tonight in Denver at the Ball Arena.
Guardians, despite being at home in the land, were a home underdog against Tarek Skubal. Enter Lane Thomas, maybe one of the under-the-radar trade deadline acquisitions being dealt from the Nationals. He was huge in the ALDS.
A heavy favorite for the New York Yankees in the series. You're going to look to their best two ball players to be those MVPs. That's Juan Soto and it's Aaron Judge.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
That kid on the two-point conversion play was wide open on the right side of the end zone, and the kid threw it about 15 rows over his head.
People crystallized Georgia and Alabama. They put them on the shelf above everyone else, and they're just not there this year. I thought the kid Beck was great on Saturday, but they barely beat Mississippi State, who is porous.
Ferrall coast to coast, only on SportsGrid.